anyway, back to what I was saying. I love to really simplify things for everyone because we are all divine self-healing vessels, self-healing bodies, humans in this human body, right? That we chose to experience. And the overcomplication that we have all as a collective created over, generations is keeping us in a state of fear, of being completely lost, literally, from our own abilities and divinity, right? And powers. We are all powerful, and not to say that each one of us is God. You are a God, I use goddess a lot, and God, but because we are splinters, we are fractals of the divine. We are part of the one, right? So God, source, one. And I spoke about this in the Ignition Masterclass. So if you haven't seen it, listened to it, and you want to, receive that message, just let me know. If you just DM me your email address, I can send you the link to the replay. But what I spoke about there was, in very, very broad terms, how we live in creation, which is the duality and the magnetism and the polar opposites. And what drives creation is that, is that flow of energy between and throughout, via the positive, negative, and the poles, the masculine, feminine, the hot, cold, all of the, the polar opposite extremes and everything in between, right? That is creation. We experience acid and alkaline, pain, pleasure, that is creation. So I spoke about that and tied that into, what we see in the macrocosm. Good morning, good evening, everyone that's joining. Thanks for coming on. So, what we see in the macrocosm, we see in the microcosm. As above, so below, as within, so without. We know this, right? So it is very much true. And in a simplified version, when we look at, the polar opposites and how they interact and how divine, that all is, how simple it is, we can really surrender to the self-healing vessel and heal ourselves without the mind and all its indoctrinated layers of BS, literal BS, that is keeping us from all of these beautiful powers, our own self-healing powers on any level. We speak about it on a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, these are but layers, but densities of frequency or vibrational frequency. And I spoke about that as well in the Ignition Masterclass. So what matter is simply just, that more dense frequency, what it appears to us as solid matter, and then you have liquid and gas and so on. Yes, Heal. Yeah, it's beautiful, that documentary. Okay. So, I spoke about those facets and seeing things in that way and really simplifying things. As above, so below, as within, so without, so on. And we look at the earth as an organism, which it is a living organism, Gaia. It is made up of, all of the things that are on it, in it, right? And everything has its own consciousness and so on. And there is a flow of energy. When it has been for too long on a more acidic side of the scale, it has tipped into a more masculine force and energy, and it has been thrown out of balance over time, right? What do we need to heal the earth? We need that more loving, nurturing, feminine, alkalizing, that side of chemistry. So we kind of look at it like that, right? And then as we look at it, and I spoke about it on energetic terms or emotional terms, and the energies that surround us, the human vessel, the being, right? And for example, being stuck, with surrounded constantly by negativity and negative energies, what we perceive as negative energies, bad mouthing, bad talking, all of that stuff, right? And how that affects our vessel, right? And our own energy, and how we are able to alchemize or buffer or eliminate or, just heal those and continue to shine and to give and to nurture and to be kind and loving regardless of that. It is very difficult, right? It comes to a point where it's too much, right? The balance, that scale has been pushed too far onto that side. And so what do we need? We need, to really either, move away for certain periods of time, temporarily, whatever the case may be, to, rebalance our own scales. And we rebalance our own scales. The earth rebalances its own scales because it's always seeking its balance. It's always trying to work towards its own harmony, its own health, happiness, joy, love, And in the same way, so our vessel, we can talk about the energetic, but we can talk about the lower, density frequency of matter within our vessel. And here is where I wanted to tie in what we actually are. And I know a lot of you might have heard a lot of my crazy talks already, but I'm going to, as usual, speak about it as if you haven't heard it before. And this is great, even for those who've heard it from myself, from other people that are sharing this. Because, to be honest, we have been so indoctrinated for so long with the wrong information, wrong being not of help to us, right? Because it's our perception, wrong, right? So, because it has not worked for us, the information that we have gathered and the fear that we have associated with our own vessel and what happens to it and how it functions, right? And how it interacts with, with our other bodies and other bodies, right? And the outside, the environment. So we want to move away from giving our power to others or to other ideas and theories, because they are all but theories. What I share is another theory. However, when you see a lot of healing, not just with yourself, but with others, based on the theory that you are the divine self-healing vessel, and when you stand in your own divine sovereignty with the knowing, and then this might sound a bit out there for some people. I know it would have for me a long time ago. Very science-based. When you stand in your knowing and you understand that the deeper you go into knowledge and seeking of answers and going really into the microscopic levels of how everything interacts, and this molecule is taken up and that one is this, and this is how the pathway works, and which is all great and interesting and part of the human experience. But this is what I call ego knowledge. ego drive or ego driven, simply, and it's not, a negative thing, of course. We require the ego to be here, I guess, in a certain way within creation, right? That is to experience the self, this aspect of it. But, as a scientist myself, a trained scientist, and very science-driven for many years, the deeper you go into knowledge, the deeper you seek, the more you seek answers and go deeper and deeper into not the knowledge, right? The intellectualism, the more you realize that you have no idea what is going on. And anyone who says otherwise, that's their ego talking. So, hello. Oh my goodness, sorry. I need to turn off. Sorry, I don't know if you guys heard that, but I just got a call. All right. Yeah, so the more... Hello to all that have joined in. Thank you. I hope you get a lot out of this. So, where was I? The more you go into knowledge, the deeper you try and seek more and more answers and explaining everything within creation, the more you realize that the less you know, the more confusing it gets for us. But when you simplify things and understand the divinity of it all, and in a way you surrender to that knowing with the simple understanding of our divine self-healing vessel and how it works in a very simplified way, you empower yourself to the point when you fully understand, and this is where I say, I repeat myself a lot, but guess what? We actually need that repetition, because I needed it over several years to pull back the layers of my own indoctrination through my own education. I have 2 degrees in science. I've always been science driven. Did not believe in God, believed in science. So very evidence-based, right? So I had a lot of layers to pull back and a lot of awakenings, small and big, over time. So revisiting information and hearing it from different perspectives and reading it and hearing it from a different subject altogether, because it all ties in, right? That's where you really, finally, it will hit for you. And I remember when it hit for me, and there's been several of those hits, right? Where you now no longer fear the external, right? There is no need to fear. And the fear itself, fear of the boogeyman. I call microorganisms the boogeyman, because that's the germ theory versus the terrain theory, right? Give the power away via the germ theory. You want to take your power back? Realize that you have created, you are the creator. You are the terrain, and you must clear the terrain. That gives you the power, because you can clean the terrain. You can dirty the terrain, but you can clean the terrain. That gives you full power. And then understanding in simple terms how that works, you can therefore assist your vessel, right? Assist your vessel in what it does, it wants to do. There is nothing else to it. And sometimes we have to revisit this information many times. So, hello to all that have joined in. I won't be able to get to many of these because they keep coming up. But, all right. So, as you may have heard me before, we look at our vessel in the same way that we look at the macrocosm, we look at the microcosm, right? So our vessel is simply a whole bunch of cells and fluid. Two fluids mainly, right? So a whole bunch of cells meaning trillions of cells. So we have cells and the surrounding fluid, because the cells are not all stuck together, not even in bone, not even in that tissue, right? No matter what the cell within our vessel, we can talk bone cell, which we think of, oh, that must be like really tight. Well, they're just different cells, right? Think of it in that way. Trillions of cells of different kinds, slight different function morphology, but guess what? They all were created from the one cell of the female, the one cell of the male. So divinely, just kind of everything was made. Correct? We didn't do anything. We didn't, create it in a lab. We didn't have to go in and, fix things or do some surgery and get some pharmaceuticals in there and, feed it something. No. It created itself in a very divine way. All right? So those cells, again, bone cells, nerve cells, skin cells, organ cells, so the lining of your gut, the uterus cells, right? Ovarian cells, any cell, your kidneys, your adrenals, your liver, they're all cells. Cells, fluid, right? Imagine your whole vessel is one cell, right? And we are surrounded by our own fluid. That is our terrain. This around me is my terrain. Is it optimal? I don't believe so, because I'm not in my own wild environment that we would be. But we do the best we can, right? And we can make it better, we can make it worse. Is my environment full of chemicals? Well, hopefully mine isn't, to a certain extent. I have, windows and walls around me, so I don't have a flow of air right now. Not ideal. I have furniture and all of these different things that are man-made with chemicals that off-gas a little bit, all right? So it's not too ideal, it's not perfect, right? You have a bit of an acidic or toxic environment. Some places are more toxic than others, right? But I'm just trying to make you understand that that is the environment that we create, that we are responsible for in every moment. Don't obsess over it, but just be aware. Because this is why nature is healing. Well, nature is healing because it is our environment. As long as it's not toxic, which, if people have thrown their waste and there's all kinds of, oil spills and stuff that, and you're swimming in it, then obviously nature is, that piece of nature is not very healing. But we understand that nature is healing. You go into a rainforest barefoot and it's healing. That is our external environment, that if we were the cell in that environment, our body can heal. Right? Our body will heal. What is the environment surrounding each of the cell, right? The terrain. And, and that's true. The terrain is on every level. As Che is saying, it is not just physical, which is more dense frequencies of what we consume or what we perceive as matter around us. It is on a emotional, energetic levels, right? We have other acid, base, positive, negative terrain. So when we're looking at the cells and its terrain within our vessel, what's surrounding the cell? What does it need? Well, just like every living organism, the cell needs to eat, quote unquote. It needs energy, right? Some hydration. It needs that, and it needs to eliminate. Because every living being that consumes, that utilizes, right, that metabolizes, will have waste to dispose of. So every cell eats and poops, right? Just like us, just like every other being, big, small. If it eats, it's got to poop. Now, the terrain surrounding it, blood is what feeds it, right? We can understand this on very simple terms. Blood feeds it. Energy, hydration, hopefully of the best kind, right? It can feed it alkaline chemistry, or it can feed it acidic chemistry. We can look at it that way. And that's on every level again, right? Very simple. Here comes my poop talk. Oh, yes, that's what I talk about. So, everything, yes. Plant cells, do they poop? I mean, obviously, we are talking poop because this is very simplified terms. It's metabolic waste. If something breathes, if you, again, very simple terms, you breathe in oxygen, you release what? Waste. Carbon dioxide, whatever, acids, right? So, very, very simple. Anything that consumes, utilizes, if this thing is alive and utilizing and moving things and creating things and destroying things, if it's part of that, the process in itself will have waste, right? So if the cell is fed by blood and the cell utilizes what it needs, it has processes, right? Because it has a function, because the cell might be part of your liver, the cell might be part of your bone, the cell might be part of your kidney, right? So it has a function, has morphology, where it is, what it is, like the structure of it, and it has a function, particular function. It might be an endocrine gland cell, right? So it has a very specific function. a divinely given function, and it will have its waste created. Where does that waste go? Science will tell you it goes back into the blood. That's what I learned. The blood has a very specific pH range, and nobody poops in their kitchen unless you live in a cage, right? No conscious being poops where they eat, literally. They, just no. So you have to have somewhere where it goes, right? And where does it go? Well, the cell just excretes it. And what is that fluid? Because if blood is about 20-30% of that interstitial fluid, right, that feeds it, then what's the rest of it? That interstitial fluid, meaning in between cells, intercellular, right? That is a lipid-based system. That is the lymphatic system, which everyone knows as the immune system, right? When we talk about immune system, we automatically associate it with the germ theory, which is an external, fear-based, giving your power away theory, right? The boogeyman. That's what the immune system, even just saying those words, it associates that, right? So that's why, I talk a lot about the lymphatic system, saying that yes, it is the immune system as what we know and have learned as the immune system, but it is not that, right? It is the waste disposal system. And looking at any waste disposal system within our household, building that we create, right? So you look at the house and it requires clean water coming in, and it requires a bigger waste disposal system, right? Because we utilize things in the house, right? And then that dirty water, that utilized stuff, that waste product doesn't go back into the freshwater system, the clean water. It goes into its own, waste disposal, right? And looking at it in terms of, what happens to that waste? Well, waste is acidic mostly. And that is why it is absorbed by the lipid-based system and not the water-based system, which is the blood, right? The blood can only take a certain pH range, because if you acidify the blood too much, it won't be here for too long, right? Whereas the lipid-based system, we know that it holds toxicity a lot better because it is a lipid-based system. This is what they, it's held in the fat cells and so on, blah, 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 that talk, right? It is a buffering, because as we know, acid-base, right? And this, when I talk about acid-base, it's acid ash created within the body, or alkaline ash. So by the process of ingesting, of digesting, and absorbing, by ingesting certain foods, is the byproduct acid or alkaline to us. That's what I mean, right? So I forgot where I was going. Demonization of fruit. Well, fruit is alkaline. And juices are simply a way to really push the balance, if that makes sense. So because we are so out of balance and so acidified and so dry and so dehydrated on a cellular level and so on, when we, really push down on the other pedal temporarily, mainly, we assist the body in really neutralizing itself and coming back into balance, Riley, right? So let's see if I can remember where I was. I was talking about waste. Bear with me. Yeah. Okay, so thank you. So when we look at it in all those simple terms, right? And each cell needing to eat, needing to dispose of its waste is its external terrain, which we look at the trillions of cells. Waste disposal into the interstitial fluid, which is the lymphatic system, which is the waste disposal system, which goes then should flow throughout our vessel, right? Towards the septic tanks, lymph nodes. They are part of the lymphatic system, of the waste disposal system. When we look at activity of microorganisms, they are the acid breakdowners. They break down, they process, they assist. They are symbiotic creatures, and by that I mean bacteria. All of these little creatures that we, in the germ theory, in the fear-based giving our power away theory, we have to attack them. We have to eliminate them. We have to fear them. It's the boogeyman. It's the cause of our issues. And how far removed from the truth this is. And how empowering it is to realize that nature works together. That your vessel does not attack itself. That it is nothing, in most cases, nothing external in terms of some creature that is coming to get you, that is, going to infiltrate your body and multiply in a healthy body. That happens and can happen if and only really if your terrain is suitable for these little creatures to proliferate. What does that mean? Well, what do they eat? What do they enjoy? And we know this even through science. What's found apparently in very, very acidic terrain where nothing else, no other living organism as we know it can survive. Bacteria maybe? They love it because they thrive in that terrain. But if your cells, the surrounding lymphatic interstitial fluid, if your terrain is on the acidic side of chemistry, you cannot blame them for multiplying and doing their job, doing what they are there to do, which is like everything else, eat and poop, right? It's just that they feed on something else and they're okay in that terrain. They actually thrive in that terrain. They may not thrive, and they don't thrive, actually, in an alkaline, in a balanced terrain. They will be there. I think they will always be there to some extent, right? There is a balance of it. Because just like when we look at a forest floor, right, or a healthy soil, and this is, again, look at macrocosm and microcosm, right? We are nuking everything based on the germ theory, right? Sanitizing. What is sanitizing? Antibacterial, right? We are killing things out of fear that they are the ones that are causing our issues. And it throws the soil out of balance if we're throwing things in there that are nuking things that should be part of that balanced environment, right? So, you know, we're looking at the septic tanks, and you know, it's full of waste. Obviously, it is our waste disposal system, you know, and we must process the waste, not us. That's why they are there. When we have what the fear-based germ theory calls infection, and, you know, based on that diagnosis, you know, you must nuke the involved microorganism, right? So if you have an infection, oh my gosh, you must kill the bacteria. It will spread, it will multiply. You cannot kill the beings that are neutralizing that waste, that are breaking down that waste, that are buffering things on an external, in a septic tank, for example, right? You can't stop that process. That is playing God. That is going against nature, right? They are there as symbiotic creatures, and this is a hard one to grasp. This is truly one of the most difficult ones to fully embody and grasp, to the point where you no longer fear them at all. Because you realize that if you have an overpopulation, aka infection, right, of a certain, you know, bacteria in a certain area of the body, inflammation, right? When you have an infection, say, I don't know, when you have, your glands are swollen, right? And, oh my gosh, you have an infection, you know, they're swollen, they're red, it's painful. What do you think that is? Let's look at it simply. It is the septic tanks, right? Right? These drain the waste disposal system of our entire head and neck. Have to drain. Right? Right? So, processing plants. Right? Neutralization of acids, breakdown, buffering, etc., etc. Bacterial activity. If there is too much bacterial activity, infection, right, it is because there is a lot of acidic waste stuck. It's not moving, there's too much of it, and it's not moving and flowing fast enough. It is not being eliminated efficiently over time. There is an accumulation. Therefore, there is more activity. It's uncomfortable. Why is it red? Why is it inflamed? Because acids are neutralized by water. The body will bring in water. It will inflame that area. It will bring in that immune response, right? To deal with that situation. And it will hopefully then, move all of that trash, all that waste out. But we must assist it in most cases because we are so clogged up systemically. So understanding that cells and two fluids, blood and lymph, is all that we are no matter where we're looking at. And then realizing that where are the exit points? How does the lymphatic system drain? Where does it go? Right? Well, we've always been told that our urine should be clear, that clear urine is healthy. However, this is not the case. And that is a problem that is, systemic within our Gaia, right? Because the lymphatic system has three main elimination channels, three main elimination organs, exit points, gates, gateways, floodgates. The kidneys, right? Kidneys and the skin, right? The third kidney is the skin. Now, if we are peeing clear, if we were pooping water, but we were eating food, we'd be concerned, right? There'd be a backing up of stuff in there. That's exactly what's going on in very simple terms. When you look at the entire lymphatic system, which is the interstitial waste disposal, the cellular waste disposal system of every single cell that is part of every single organ, tissue, gland, muscle, bone, anything, anywhere in the body. That needs to be taken away from the cells, moved through the lymph nodes, whichever lymph nodes will be draining, and out through the kidneys and through the skin. If our kidneys are compromised, if the floodgates are compromised, if you have partially open only instead of fully open, let's say we're looking at the plumbing of our house, of the waste disposal. You have a big tube, right? What if it was like that because of all of this waste accumulation, because there's hardening, there's acidifying and hardening of that waste over time. And now, and this happens a lot in plumbing, even within the fresh water, because it's full of toxicity, the tap water, right? We know, we've seen those tap water images, the plumbing of it, right? So now you've got this, whereas you should have that, right? So picture that as your kidneys. All of the waste of every cell that you're creating constantly, day in, day out, every time you breathe, every time, just by living, not just by eating, by living, by being alive. And you have this for it all to exit. It's not really going to work, is it? So things start accumulating all the way through your body. Where does disease accumulate? And we can look at the energetics and the emotional body. Where is it accumulating more? Are you an angry person? Or do you have anger? A lot of anger and resentment and so on. Liver, maybe those areas. You might see a lot more of accumulation of the physical densities accumulated surrounding cells, tissues, and organs, because that's all it is, right? You have this acid waste accumulation. What do acids do to your skin? for example, which are cells. What happens if you drop acids? It burns, right? It burns, it causes redness. You know, if it's really, really acidic, it's going to burn through that. You know, it's going to be very painful. If it's slightly acidic, you're going to feel it. It's going to be red, rash, itching, burning, right? That's what acids do. That's that side of chemistry to our body, right? Internally, it's exactly the same. If you have an acidic terrain surrounding your cells, what is it going to do to that cell membrane, to that cell itself, to its structure, morphology, and function? If that cell secretes something, if it's part of the pancreas, if it's part of your adrenal gland, and you have acid waste surrounding, or a terrain that is slightly too acidic for those cells, right? Not saying you've got battery acid flooded, you know, around your cells. That's chemotherapy. That's that crazy stuff. But you have a slightly acidic terrain. It's going to compromise the cell membrane wall. It's going to compromise the cell, the structure, but also its function. Because if you are surrounded by shit, excuse my français, right? Are you going to function at your optimum? What's your skin going to look like if your environment is full of shit, right? What's the outside going to look like? What's the inside going to feel like? What are you going to feel like? How are you going to function if you're swimming in your own waste? That is all it is, right? If it's a solid waste, if the waste surrounding the cell, if you have a formation of some kind within an organ, a tissue, a gland, right? Cysts, hardenings, right? Calcifications. What do you think that is? It's very acidic, right? It has been accumulated and formed over time, and it is the way that the body has buffered, has protected you from what it is you have created, the terrain you have created, and that you continuously create. I hope that makes sense. So what happens, or what can we do? How can we empower ourselves? Knowing these simple things, right? Knowing these simple things, that we are cells to fluids, that one feeds, right? That there are only two sides, extremes to chemistry. There are only two polar opposites energetically, and there is a flow in between, and there is a range. It's like there's a pH range, right? Understanding very simply and knowing that you created the terrain and you can clean your terrain very easily. You have nothing to fear. There is no boogeyman coming to get you. There isn't even a genetic boogeyman. There are weaknesses that you can work on, right? There are just things that you can work on. And by working on means pretty much getting out of its own way, because the self-healing vessel only wants to heal. And what is healing? Now that we know how simply we're looking at it, right? How do we heal the vessel? How does the body heal itself? Well, healing therefore means, it doesn't mean we are fighting something, right? We're not fighting a bacteria. We're not fighting, mutated cells that have gone into some crazy, No. We are not fighting our own immune system because it's turned against us. Do you see that language? Do you see what that is? That's the germ theory. That's society. That's the mainstream. That's the matrix conditioning. That is layers and layers and layers of BS that take your power away. There is none of that. Every cell within your body is working for the one body. It is not working against it ever. It is not going to attack itself. Right? Understanding this then is therefore, okay, so what is going on? As I explained before, what's going on when it's an infection, right? Infection. Well, what's going on when you have a calcification, right? Which the calcification has been formed because there were acids, and the body pulls at base chemistry within itself. So it will pull calcium out of the bones, it will pull phosphorus, it will pull what it can from other areas to buffer the acids that are not able to be eliminated efficiently over time. Right? Dehydrated, calcified, acidified, acidified. Right? And yeah, cancer, arthritis, crystallizations of any kind, and you can, again, this is ego talk and med talk, but we'll use these terms because this is what we know, right? Oxalates and rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, all of these different new terms that we're just going to pull up because we don't know where it comes from. I don't know how you got that. I don't know what to do with it. Let's just run more tests. Let's test your blood again. What you going to find in the blood? Sometimes you can find something. Is it indicative of your health? No. Not at all. There's so much ego-driven intellectualism on that side. Been there, was one of those ego-driven intellectualism peoples. Well-meaning, of course, well-meaning, but just subscribing to the wrong theory, which is why there are no answers. So I went on to tangent. But, okay, yeah. So basically, what do you do to heal yourself? Well, get out of your own way. Because the body heals itself. Right? And by that I mean get out of your own mind, get out of your own indoctrination, and do things differently. Right? The body is working with you, not against you. What is the only way to heal the root cause of any disease, symptom, diagnosis, any of them, really? Well, if we understood it on those basic terms of the cells and two fluids and the waste disposal system, what you feed it needs to change. From an acid, ash, and mucus forming, because when you ingest something that does not belong, that is not right, that is not in harmony with the body will create an immune response and a mucus response to buffer, to try and move things along, to get it out as soon as possible. whether it's ejected again, right? Cold and flu symptoms and things like that, right? Coughing, sneezing, or it'll try to move it through as quickly as possible, right? So we need to rebalance the scale. Instead of acid ash consumption, alkaline ash, which is non-mucus forming. Same thing. What is that? Look at nature. Look at nature and look at what you would physiologically as a being, with hands, with eyes that see colors, with scent that smells sweetness, with teeth like this, with an slightly alkaline saliva, with a digestive tract that, deals with certain things. What is it? What would we be eating? What are we driven to? What are babies driven to? What do they want? All right? Go for that. And because we are in a state where we are so agglomerated, so accumulated, so acidified, so dehydrated for so long, that's why we tip the scales. That's why we assist our vessel in doing what it does best, which is detoxification. Healing is detoxification. There is no other way that you can heal from, and detoxification happens on all levels. Yes, you can heal the energetic body, but the energetic body will expulse things. That is detoxification. That is moving out of waste, moving out of negativity in our perceived way, talking about it in that way. Right? It is elimination. So, assist the body in its efforts to eliminate, and continuously do so over your lifespan as well. Right? Bring in the right chemistry, eliminate efficiently. The body heals itself. Create the correct terrain by assisting the body in eliminating, and assist its eliminating organs and pathways. The vessel heals itself, because a cell that is compromised, that has been damaged, unless it's damaged beyond repair, which the body will deal with and regenerate, if it is repairable in the right terrain, right, it will repair itself. And that cell is part of the gland. That cell has a structure, a morphology, and a function. If it secretes something, it's going to do its job way better, isn't it? It's going to regain its efficiency, its divine job, what it's here to do, what it wants to do. That's all the body requires. So anyway, I go on a lot of tangents, and I've been an hour, so I might leave it at that. I think, hello to everyone. Thank you for joining in. I hope this was helpful. Let me know. I just wanted to really give that basic understanding. There is no need for anything else. The only things from here is how to support your body, basically. Oh, welcome, beautiful. How to best support your body to heal itself. Yes, I know there's a few questions. I'm trying to look through them, but yeah, urine therapy. See that if you're drinking your urine and it's clear, I don't know. But when we're looking at proper kidney filtration, which is what you're looking for, looked at the waste disposal system, the tube itself that should be clear and eliminating lymphatic waste, draining the waste, eliminating the waste, right? But it's been compromised, right? And our urine is clear. But when we open the floodgates, when we start clearing our body, when we assist the kidneys, the adrenals, right? When we assist our entire vessel by hydrating, alkalizing, electrifying with the right foods, the right drinks, the right environment, right? The right thought, the right mindset, visualization, the knowing, the understanding, right, is a knowing that you don't subscribe to poor me, the victim mentality. You are the divine sovereign being that heals itself, right? So, excuse me. As you open those and you switch on the kidneys switch on, right? And they start filtering properly. When you pee, your urine, and you let it sit. So if you pee into a jar, this is not urine. I don't drink my urine. Just putting it out there. It's coconut water. But you pee first thing in the morning. This is how you check if your kidneys are filtering properly. And I kid you not, it took me a long time because I have kidney weakness genetically. It takes work, dedication, discipline, knowing. For some, it can happen really quickly, right? And it has to some of my clients very quickly. They'll start filtering. For me, it took a long time. So you pee and you let it sit for hours. You'll start seeing cloudiness. You might see little bits and pieces in it, right? If it's clear, it's no good. You will see a layer of mucus, right? Cloudy white stuff usually. There might be strings and bits and things like that, right? That is what you want to see consistently if you have any symptoms within your vessel, if you have anything that's been accumulated over years, decades. All right? Consistently, you want to be seeing that your urine is actually disposing, you're actually disposing of your metabolic, cellular, lymphatic waste. So this is not, we're not talking, you've got poo, right? You've got your digestive waste and your digestive system. This is lymphatic waste. This is what's behind, right? What we don't see. Why would you drink your own waste? If you're not filtering properly through your kidneys, then, whatever. But if you are filtering through your kidneys lymphatic waste, there's waste, right? Do you throw up and think, oh, there's so much nutrition in there that my body just ejected? I definitely should have that, No. Do you feel inclined intuitively to eat your own poop and not call it waste? Because it has all of this beneficial bacteria in it, and everyone talks about their gut flora and probiotics and, there's so many good things, and there's fiber in there. There's fiber in poo. No. There is no need to eat your own waste. It is waste. You don't lick your sweat. I wouldn't. I don't know. Toxicity is meant to be eliminated. Waste is the way it is eliminated. To think that is healthy I don't know. If you really believe it, it may assist you somehow, especially if you're not filtering. But again, you wouldn't cough up all this mucus when you've got a cold and flu and go, let's age it a little bit because it's full of good stuff, and actually drink it. It's mind-boggling. That's my 2 cents on it. I would much rather drink coconut water, fresh juices, eat beautiful ripe fruits, maybe a salad here and there, you know, some beautiful herbs from the garden. That sounds more like my medicine, you know. And in my opinion, I think a lot of, you know, healing that you do see with that sort of consumption of waste is probably because it's incorporated along with a lot of fasting and a lot of beautiful methodologies that means that you get out of your own way, so your body is healing itself, you know. But I think it is a detriment to actually consume your own waste. I think I will leave it at that, gorgeous souls. Oops. Yeah, well, look, cold and flu symptoms are actually the body's natural elimination attempts. So if you, and I used to pride myself in not being ever sick. However, if the body is not eliminating and you are consuming and you are surrounded by toxicity, undoubtedly, even if you try your best not to, and you've accumulated waste and you are not eliminating it, if you're not able to trip yourself into, if your body doesn't eliminate efficiently via cold and flu symptoms, or sweating properly, consistently, and pooping more than 3 times a day, you know, if you're eating especially more than 2 times a day, you know, urinating, your lymphatic waste, all of those elimination channels. If you are, if oh, I think I've lost it. Where was the question? Yeah, I used to pride myself of not actually getting the flu, cold and flu, right? And that was still in the thinking of the germ theory again, right? Because the body efficiently eliminates. So that is how it efficiently eliminates. Especially if something has come in and you automatically get that, if it's not ideal for your body, the response is to eliminate. And in kids, that's why you see it a lot in children, because they're not as compromised as adults, right? So they will trip into detox mode very easily compared to an adult that is so used to and has all of this mucus layered and so on, right? It has this buffering system already in place because it's used to consuming a lot of acid chemistry and so on. So it won't be tripped as easily. And that's what detoxification is, right? So there's a lot of urine therapy peoples on here. Look, do what you like, do what resonates with you. And if this causes friction, you know, have an open mind, because that's all it ever is. You know, have an open mind, question things. That's all I have to say with that, because no, I do not drink my own urine, and no, I will not drink my own urine. I will definitely not eat my poo or, cough up mucus and decide to put it back in down my throat. It is, that is something that is a no-no for me. No matter what woo-woo is told about that, I would much rather do colorful, beautiful, God-given foods, divine foods, right, that are, or none at all, than to actually go for my own waste, unless I am stuck on that, island dying of, starvation and thirst, and I had to distill my own urine or something, I don't know. I don't know. But, yes, I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers on that, but that's what I do. I ruffle feathers on all areas because we have to ruffle our own feathers. I listen to people that drink their own urine. Yes, I do. Am I open-minded? Sure. Do I feel it resonates? No, not at all. Have I seen healing happen on meat? Yeah. Have I seen it on water fasting? Yeah. Have I seen it on the normal standard diet and visualization, meditation, and using energetics? Yeah. It's a divine self-healing vessel. Right? There are many ways in which you can assist the body in doing what it wants to do. What resonates with you, go ahead. That is not what resonates with me. But, yeah. There's a lot of urine talk. Well, you guys can talk with each other about it, and I do wish you all the best with it if that is the path that you choose. For me, it is fruits of the earth, the divine fruits, herbs, water, breath work, fasting, feasting on hydration and alkalization, not on my own waste. But yes, I hope it helped understand the simplicity of it. And yeah. All right, beautiful souls. Well, that's all I wanted to share today. So ending in the waste disposal system consumption is not something that I was planning on actually terminating this on. But since there's a lot of that is my knowing. All the best. Love and light to all of you. Namaste. And do let me know if you want the replay, the link to the replay of the Ignition Masterclass. And I have a couple of spots left for the 12-week deep detoxification, where we are going to go right in and heal systematically, very, very, very simply, and actually understand the process as you are doing it. So support and all of that amazing goodness. You can send me a DM because I may not see these comments after. I don't know. I actually don't know. But if you're interested in any of those things, or in any of, my help, if I can help you, then just send me a DM or comment afterwards below, and we can have a chat and see where I can assist you, because this is something that I am very passionate about. I can't say much of drinking my own urine because I don't do it, but I have healed myself, and there are countless others healing themselves with the simple divine power of alkaline, delicious, ripe fruits, juices, raw foods, fasting, breath work, herbs, all or some of the above. It is very, very easy. It just takes unraveling those layers of indoctrination and really supporting those elimination organs, really supporting your body through the process it divinely knows to do itself. So, oh, thank you, beautiful. Thank you. All right. Okay, well, I hope to see some of you at another live, or let me know and we might even have a chat. So, sending you a love. Have a beautiful day, evening,